the NVIDIA 50 series graphics cards. They are usually touted as the super budget but gaming capable line of graphics cards that existed for almost all of NVIDIA's history. So for example, back in the day, you have the GTX 250, GTX 250, you have the GTS 450, GTX 550, you know, all that kind of thing, all the way until the current GTX 1650 Super. Right now the RTX 3050 is currently used in laptops, so let's not talk about that yet because this video is still filmed in 2021. Alright, because the 50 series cards, right, they are not very powerful to begin with. You know, they are, you know, the mid-range, the lower mid-range. Can they still withstand the test of time? So over here we have 4 cards. I know it's only 2 here because one is in this system, another is over there. So we have 4 cards available. So over here, from the oldest, we have the GTS 450. This is a super old card. This is a 2010 card, so it's like 11 years old. Okay, this is the GTX 750. This is 3 generations later. And we have the third card for our testing, the GTX 1050 Ti. 1050 will be more appropriate, but I don't have that lah, so give chance. So we have the 1050 Ti, and then the most recent one from 2019 is the GTX 1650 Super. So we have these 4 cards, right? And I was thinking, you know, why not let's just make a comparison video, you know, on the performance difference and the generational differences between these cards, because they are all, you know, in the same bracket, in the same performance bracket of their respective generations. So how would they perform down the line? And more importantly, in 2021, can these old cards still game? Just do it! Or are they like, you know, crap? Yeah, and also stay tuned because we have a 5th competitor, a mystery competitor. Ta-da! Yeah, and we'll find out who can be still relevant in today's standards. Let's tune in to find out more. Hey guys, this is Chester here. You guys are watching our channel right here at Chester and Unboxing. But today we're not doing an unboxing video. Today we'll be doing a comparison video. Easy. So before we continue, so if you like our videos, do like this video, like all the other videos that you've been watching, and subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to share with your friends, you know, tell your friends about this channel because we will really love your support. Alright, moving on. We have 4 graphic cards available as mentioned, so there's 2 more here that is invisible to the human eye. So anyway, 4 different generations spanning 11 years of worth of cards. So let's check it out. So let's talk about a little bit more of them in slight more detail. So first up, we have the GTS 450. So fun fact, this is actually my first card that I bought, that my family bought when we first owned a discrete PC. Like back then it was all pre-built, like, you know, the HP compact, if you still remember that era. Yeah, but this was the very first card that I bought as a discrete option. This GTX 50 is from 2010. It has the GF106 die, GFF for Fermi because that's in that generation. 192 CUDA cores, 1 gig of memory. That's right, 1 gigabyte of video memory, GDDR5, so that's a good thing. Okay, 40 nanometer process, and it has 1.17 billion transistors. Okay, and 106 watt TDP, last but not least, with a price tag of $129 US. So with that 106 watt TDP, so it has a single 6-pin plug over here. That is the GTS 450. So don't forget there's a SLI bridge here. Yeah, back then 50 series cards can SLI. Wow. Yeah. Moving on. So we have the GTX 750. This is 3 generations later. The 750 is coming from 2014. It has the GM107 die, M meaning Maxwell generation. It has 512 CUDA cores, 2 gigs of video memory on GDDR5. okay, running on a 28 nanometer process, 1.87 billion transistors. I like to emphasize billion. Okay, 55 watt TDP and a price tag of $119 US. 55 watts. Can you imagine? That's crazy. Like, even the GTX 750 Ti only had 75 watts, which means that both this one and the Ti brother, they didn't even need, there's no power connectors. It's crazy. Yeah, so Maxwell was the generation that their power efficiency leapt by leaps and bounds. Okay, moving on, we have the GTX 1050 Ti. Okay, that card came from 2016 and has a GP107 die, P for Pascal. Okay, and it has 768 CUDA cores, 4 gigs of video memory, GDDR5 as always, 14 nanometer process, 3.3 billion transistors, 75 watts TDP again, and $139 US. So you can see that the price is, you know, slowly creeping up. But that card of mine is a Galaxy version, so they actually included a 6-pin connector so that you can overclock it further. Okay, and last but not least, the one currently in this system that you are watching now, I can't pull it out, right? So that one, this card is the GTX 1650 Super. Okay, this card is 2019, so it's only 2 years old, on a TU116 die, 1280 CUDA cores, 4 gigs of RAM, same, and 12 nanometers, so it's shrunk by a little bit, 6.6 billion transistors, so it's like twice the jump, 100 watt TDP, so up, but sadly $159 US. So you can see how the rate of inflation is getting worse and worse, right? Yeah. Anyway, so with that being said, so something to take note also, that this is the reference model, whereas all the rest is third party. This is ASUS, 1050 Ti is Galaxy, and 1650 Super is by MSI. That's the Ventus 2X. Right, so our test bench that we are currently putting the card through its paces is the Core i5 8600K. That is a 6-core 6-thread, overclocked to 4.6 GHz all core. Okay, so I don't think there'll be any form of bottleneck, because these cards are not very powerful to begin with. If there'll be a problem, right? Okay, it has 16 gigs of RAM, DDR4, 2666 MHz. And yeah, talking about drivers, right? So because NVIDIA has already discontinued its latest few drivers for Fermi, so the driver version for the 450, the GTX 450, is 391.35. The other 3 graphics cards, the driver version is the standard latest one at 496.13. Something important also is none of these cards are overclocked. They are in their factory condition with the factory fan profile. Alright, and I use MSI Afterburner just for the monitoring tools that you guys will see later in the camera roll. Not to overclock, right? You can see the clock for itself is there, it's proof. Okay, so now time to move on to the benchmarks. So we have gone through, we have put each card through 3 games. So I try to put it as, you know, as a variety of it. So the first one is Dota 2, so that is for representing the multiplayer scene. Okay, but as esports titles, the next is Sleeping Dogs, so pretty old game but around the same era. Okay, last but not least, we have a slightly newer one but not the newest, Batman Arkham Origins. Okay, so these two represent the AAA titles and the Dota represents the esports titles. Okay, so let's start with the GTX 450. So GTX 450 in Dota 2, it managed to perform 34 FPS, running at 64 degrees and maxing out its 1 gig frame buffer. I mean, what's new, right? Okay, in Sleeping Dogs, it managed to perform a measly 26 FPS, 65 degrees, and same max out 1 gig. In Batman, it managed to get the same 25 FPS, 64 degrees, and interestingly enough, it only managed to use 950 megabytes out of its full 1 gig. So maybe it's just that scene or what, I'm not too sure about that. But we can safely say that in 2021, 1 gig even for Full HD is not enough. Alright, moving on to the GTX 750. So the GTX 750, it could get 61 FPS in Dota 2, running 57 degrees and 1.1 gigs of video RAM. In Sleeping Dogs, it could get 52 FPS, 63 degrees and 1.2 gigs of video RAM. In Batman, slightly worse story, 48 FPS, 62 degrees and 1.4 gigs of RAM. So as you can see clearly, right, just the extra 1 gig of frame buffer is enough to make the game from unplayable to slightly playable. Alright, we'll talk about the worth of these cards later on. Let's move on to the more recent cards. Let's talk about the GTX 1050 Ti. Okay, in Dota 2, easily 130 FPS, 59 degrees, 1 gig of RAM. Sleeping Dogs, it managed to get 103 FPS on average, 64 degrees, and 1.2 gigs of video RAM. In Batman, it managed to get 87 FPS, 58 degrees, same, and 1.5 gigs of RAM. So something to remember here is that Batman, the series, right, the game series, they use a lot of physics. So that's NVIDIA's proprietary software for their particles and everything. So that consumes more resources. Okay, moving on to the more powerful one, the most recent GTX 1650 Super. So we can safely say that by 2019, Full HD is behind us. Like, we can handle Full HD easily. Alright, the results speak for themselves. In Dota 2, it managed to get 215 FPS. That's max settings, yeah, at Full HD. 61 degrees, 1.2 gigs of VRAM. So you can roughly tell that Full HD consumes around 1 gig plus of video memory across different games. In Sleeping Dogs, it managed to get 128 FPS, 65 degrees, 1.2 gigs of RAM. In Batman, well, I forgot. I'm sorry. But if we were to interpolate, right, based on the other cards trend, you can roughly give or take minus 20 FPS. So from 128, it can become about 100 FPS on Batman. I would think so. Nice. Okay, now time for our mystery competitor. What's the fun if you check all discrete graphics? Must throw inside the Intel integrated graphics, right? That's what we did. We tested the Intel UHD graphics 630. That's the one inside the i5. Just for fun, you know, just to see how ridiculous we can get. And yeah, ridiculous it was. In Dota 2, it got 19 FPS. Yeah, you heard that right. 19. That's just a little bit faster than the slideshow. Right? It's even slower than Zoom. Anyway, yeah, so Sleeping Dogs, 15 FPS. Woo, 15 is your slideshow FPS. And Batman, even better, 13. 1-3. That one, even Skype also faster. Okay, so but the point is, it can still run and you can still play YouTube videos or that. Just don't expect it to game anywhere above the minimum resolution. Oh hell no! So comes down to the $1 million question. Of all these cards, can the old cards, are they still relevant in 2021? Let's talk about each one of them. For the GTX 450, unfortunately, no. It is not relevant anymore, because you can see that even in Full HD, right, Dota is not even very intensive. It only mastered 34 FPS, and you try playing that in like a 10-player multiplayer, you're gonna die because the lag and everything is gonna kill your accuracy and everything. So if you're gonna be using a GTX 450, I recommend that you either down the resolution or you drop the quality settings real hard, yeah, so that it can be at least be smooth. For the GTX 750, yes, it can still be relevant at a catch. So definitely you cannot run it at max settings, but you can run it at medium to high settings. In that way, almost every game it would and it should perform above 60 FPS, which is like the bare minimum Alright, so that's for that. For the GTX 1050 Ti, duh, it is definitely relevant. It's 2016, so it can still handle everything very well. Just don't expect it to handle resolutions higher than Full HD. And that's a problem because nowadays QHD monitors are coming down in price because of, you know, all the Korean panels and everything, which is a good thing. But that also means that it might be a problem. So if you're going to be using the 1050 Ti, you gotta drop the details, the quality details, or you run it at Full HD. For 1650, just be happy with it. Okay, so all in all, to sum up, this was actually pretty fun. It took me quite a few hours, you know, to install the driver, and then DDU, wipe the driver, and then install the driver, wipe the driver, install the driver, and everything. So it took me quite a few hours. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this style. It's actually my first time giving this kind of slideshow based kind of thing. So let us know what you want us to see in the future. And we'll see what we can do about it. Yeah, because especially now with the graphics card shortage, it's very hard to get new cards. So that's why we are experimenting with this. Anyway, that's the end of our quick video card comparison of NVIDIA's 50 series graphics cards. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. I'm Chester, that's all for today. See you guys.